Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Locrine and we get to hear from Locrine today in Act 3, Scene 5. But oh my goodness, we just finished Act 3, Scene 3 yesterday. So it wasn't a lot of a scene that happened in Act 3, Scene 3. We have the Scythians all getting ready for battle, and the ghost of Albonac shows up to say, haha, you want to see the fields strewn with dead people and the rivers turn to blood? It's going to be your dead people and your blood. But nobody knew that the ghost of Albonac was there, except for the audience. And then Sagar said, we're about to be attacked, so let's take up arms. And they do. And that was Act 3, Scene 3. Act 3, Scene 4, we check in with the clowns because we haven't seen them in a while. So we've got Strumbo, who you remember is rather wordy, and he married Dorothy at the very beginning, but then she was killed as the Scythians were sort of sweeping across the countryside, burning everything to the ground. But he seems to be over that by Act 3, Scene 4, because he's talking to a man named Oliver and Oliver's son, William. Oliver is written with a very strong accent. My guess is he's supposed to be sort of German sounding because there's lots of dats instead of that sort of thing. But anyway, Oliver's like, are you going to marry my daughter Marjorie? And Strumbo's like, hadn't really planned on it. And why should I? And William's like, well, because you slept with her. And Strumbo's like, yeah, but do you really want me as a brother-in-law? And William starts to beat Strumbo with a stick. But then Marjorie, the woman in question, comes in and she takes the stick from William and starts beating Strumbo herself until he finally agrees that yes, he will marry her, because that is the foundation of a truly healthy marriage, is to beat a proposal out of the husband. But then most of them leave and Strumbo has a quick moment of like, oh, this is going to be a lot. And that's Act 3, Scene 4. So it's a little bit of a palate cleanser because we've only been dealing with these two sides who both think that they're going to win the war. And speaking of which, Act 3, Scene 5 starts out with Locrine, and he's there with his whole crew, Thrasymachus and Camber and all of them. They're all there together, and Locrine starts the scene by saying, now am I guarded with an host of men whose haughty courage is invincible. Now am I hemmed with troops of soldiers such as might force Bellona to retire and make her tremble at their puissance. Now sit I like the mighty god of war, when armed with his coat of adamant, mounted his chariot drawn with mighty bulls, he drove the Argives over Xanthus streams. Now, cursed Humber, doth thy end draw nigh. Down goes the glory of his victories, and all his fame, and all his high renown shall in a moment yield to Locrine's sword. Thy bragging banners crossed with argent streams, the ornaments of thy pavilion shall all be captivated with this hand, and thou thyself at Albonactus' tomb shalt offered be in satisfaction of all the wrongs thou didst him when he lived. But canst thou tell me, brave Thrasymachus, how far we are distant from Humber's camp? So it's another, yay, we're ready to go to war monologue, because we haven't had quite enough of those yet. It feels like there's been a lot of scenes and a lot of monologues about, oh, we're going to go win this battle that's imminent. But we've really only seen the one battle wherein Albonac was killed. And even that was sort of, he was wounded off stage, but then killed himself on stage. But hey, that's me being picky. But yes, this is another, let's go do this thing. He's like, I'm ready. I've got all these great soldiers around me. I'm feeling like the god of war right now, and I'm ready to go and slaughter Humber and knock him down and wipe his name out of the history books and all that sort of thing. And then I'm gonna slaughter him in front of Albonac's tomb to, as sort of a sacrifice, or like to show Albonac that, yes, we have gotten revenge. And then he turns to Thrasymachus in the last couple lines and he's like, how close are we? And Thrasymachus is I'm picturing like a family road trip, and Thrasymachus in this scenario is the dad, and he's like, yeah, it's just over the next hill. But he's like, no, Humber is like, see those that little bit of forest and shrubbery over there, that's where Humber has set up his camp. So let's keep going, because I'm antsy to get there, because I want to see some people get killed. And then Camber steps up and he's like, yes, I'm also ready, and I'm going to fight with all sorts of valor on behalf of Albenact. And then tomorrow we're going to get to hear Carinius's version of that, yes, I'm going to fight really hard for Albenact type speech. So I'll see you tomorrow for that. Mwah.